kick off recording now. So, hi everyone. Hi, welcome everyone to CAJ. I just want to say a very warm welcome to everyone here today. We're a community of passionate people around Agile, and we like learning and growing. And it's about our journey and your journey, and that's what CAJ is all about. It's the journey, and it's the journey we're all taking. I just want to let you know this is our 5th year. This is our 5th year in existence. We're a remote first meetup. We've been doing this for 5 years, and Heidi kicked it off. And we'll always be remote. We'll continue to be remote, and we'll bring the best speakers from around the world in that remote first setting. And we're really glad that you found us tonight, and we hope that you enjoy tonight's talk. And we hope to see you again at future CAJ events. Feel free to put a message in the chat about where you're kind of coming from tonight and where you're joining CAJ from tonight. But I'd like to kind of introduce Jackie, but before I do that, I'd like to talk a bit about some upcoming events that we've got in the next few weeks. So on Monday, the 12th of July, we have a lean coffee. A lean coffee is a facilitation technique for exploring ideas. So if you've got some questions, if you've got some thoughts or just some ideas you want to contribute, please come and join us on Monday, the 12th of July for our lean coffee event. And then on the 26th of July, 26th of July, next month, just a month away, we've got Chris Stone, the virtual Agile coach. You've probably seen him all over LinkedIn with his facilitation and retro events. He's got a talk, which is Humans Aren't Resources. Changed my mind. It's a bit of a challenge, and it's going to be a bit of a debate where we're going to bounce around. And I've got some thoughts on that as well. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And Chris is awesome. Come and join us on the 26th of July. So thank you, everyone. But tonight, it's about Jackie. It's about Jackie Rogberg. And this talk is about taking Agile beyond thinking and the next step. And it's leveraging the power of spiritual intelligence. So Jackie will be spreading some light on that. But can I just pass over to you, Jackie? You're probably better placed to introduce it. Thank you, everyone. And over to you, Jackie.
Yes. All right, I'm just going to share my screen. Thank you. Okay, so I am really excited about being here, and thank you guys for expressing interest in this topic. The first question, and I really like to have interactive sessions, so I really invite participation. The first question I have, when you think about taking Agile beyond thinking, what does that bring to mind? What's beyond thinking? What comes up for you? Feeling?
The usual definition of Agile and the frameworks, which everyone just keeps talking about.
Mm-hmm. Beyond that definition, yeah. You go ahead and share it in the chat as well. Embodiment, nice. Action practices, oops.
What about, I think somebody said feelings earlier, or emotions, right? The sense of purpose.
Yes. Sorry, my computer's going a little berserk on me right now. All right. We'll try again. Okay, so higher levels of thinking to a higher level, mindset, values, love it. Great. So, I'm not sure what's going on with my computer. We will we'll try and hit the next slide here. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
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 Okay, so it's not going into full screen, but what I'd like to do to start, if you guys are game, is just do a mindful check-in. So I would invite you to just adopt a comfortable position. Ideally, both feet are on the floor. So you're connecting to the earth. You're sitting up tall. You're allowing that energy to flow up the spine, relaxing the shoulders, the neck, and just point the chin down a little bit and just take a few deep breaths. And the invitation here is to check in with yourself in terms of your body, mind, and heart. So what's going on in your body in the moment? Feeling energized, tired? Feeling any tension? Are you feeling flow? What's going on in your mind? Are there lots of thoughts? Your to-do list? What's going on next? Well, what's going on in your heart? Are there any emotions that are present today? Excitement, peace, yeah. Good, so I'm gonna ask you right now to share one word, a predominant feeling, thought, or emotion that came up as we did that little check-in. So excitement, purpose, open, nice. Grounding, fire, wow. Appreciation, awesome. Present. Good, so this is a great little exercise. Helps you get in touch with what's going on inside you, and it actually can increase your level of emotional intelligence. So when we're tuned into our thoughts and feelings and our body sensations can actually tell us what emotions are coming sometimes. So it's a great exercise to do anytime. So I'm just gonna stop the share and try again if I can get my full screen going. Okay, so.
Is the presentation view maybe available on a different screen, Jackie, than this one?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Not sure how to change that though.
No sweat.
Okay,
Whatever.
I'm gonna just
Yes.
unplug that. I'm just gonna unplug that screen. There we go.
There we go.
There we go. Bingo.
Awesome. Okay, so my intro here is why am I here today? My journey started in terms of spirituality about 25 years ago. I was in marketing. I was a busy executive, very stressed, very run down, back-to-back colds, really feeling overwhelmed with the level of stress in my life. And I made one decision back then that really changed the course of my life, and that was to learn to meditate. So I took the Transcendental Meditation course. They teach you to meditate 20 minutes a day, twice a day. So I took it, I paid $1,000 for the course, and I listened. I did what I was told, I used the technique, and I can't say how amazed I was at the difference I found in, firstly, physically. I was more energized. My immune system got a boost. I feel like, even to this day, I have such a strong immune system that I didn't have before. Then emotionally, I felt, not that the stress was gone. It was like it was around me, but I could put distance between myself and what was going on, the stressors. And over time, I developed much more patience, compassion, and really it brought me to this place of spirituality, just knowing that we all have this purpose in life, that we're all guided and directed, and that we are here to serve, really. And this is what led me down my path to become a purpose coach. And I also am a leadership coach, and I use mindfulness in all the trainings that I do, whole person mindfulness approach. And what I'm presenting today in terms of spiritual intelligence is it's just kind of a taste of it, but I really believe that it's going to be one of the next big trends in workplace approach. You know, emotional intelligence has been very popular, very important for quite a few years now. I think we're going to start to hear more and more about spiritual intelligence. So that's why I'm here. In terms of the agenda, we're going to look right away at what I was thinking when I talked about going beyond thinking, bringing Agile beyond thinking. Then going to get into a little bit of definition and play with spiritual intelligence a little bit, and then look at energy ecosystems. And throughout, I'd like again to have the chat going and also do some experimental learning if you guys are game for that. So let's look beyond. So I said beyond, taking Agile beyond thinking. So I thought it would be a good place just to start with what is Agile. And what do you guys, I mean, this is your community, this is your profession. What comes to mind when you guys think Agile?
I see it as the ability to change direction humanistically and in a way that works for the people, to get good outcomes and good value. But it's working with the people and for the people. But ultimately, it's about changing direction so you can act appropriately in the situation you find yourself.
Okay, nice. Good. And everybody feel free to, just share in the chat. Return to presence when hijacked. Nice. Yeah, so there's this movement and this notion of movement, right? Experiment, flexibility, moving quickly and easily. Yeah, I love that. Adapting value to customer, failing fast to adapt and learn. Nice. Change is good. Solution to the VUCA world. Nice. Good. So I decided to look at a couple definitions. So one was, like somebody said, moving quickly and easily, and think and understand quickly. And I love that word think was in there, because we're playing with that word today. The second definition was more around Agile in terms of the Agile approach. So that I found solutions through collaborative effort. I love we're going to be talking about collaborative advantage today, of self-organizing cross-functional teams. So these are all words that I very much relate to from my background is more of conscious capitalism, but these terms really, really align with that. So I thought if we look at Agile and we want to move beyond thinking, for me, beyond thinking is intuition. It's sensing what is there. And so what do you guys think in terms of what comes to mind for intuition when you think about that? What pops into your mind?
A feeling.
Yeah, feeling, sense, somatic intelligence, gut instinct, yes, coupled with empathy, interesting. Fast thinking, presence, yes. Creating well-functioning teams requires intuition and experience. Nice. Listening, that's awesome, yeah. Good, so I'm gonna share a definition that, again, trusting yourself, nice. Immediate knowing something without reasoning. And so, like somebody said, it's sensing. And what I like about the parallel between looking at Agile and this whole notion of movement and quick, and then you get this definition that's it's immediate knowing. So if we're looking at going fast, if we're looking at bringing that to the situation, then intuition and sensing and listening is a tool that I'd invite you to consider if you're not bringing it into your practice, that it might lend itself well to all these kind of Agile approaches. So my premise is that sensing trumps thinking, in the sense that it goes deeper and it goes beyond the personal self. When we're sensing, when we're getting these intuitive messages and knowing, it's like we're imparting, we're integrating much more than just our own limited thoughts and feelings and knowledge. So the invitation is to really challenge yourself sometimes when you're faced with problems. Is, okay, am I overthinking this? Can I stop? Can I sit back? And can I tune in and get some intuitive sensing of what the next step might be? So I thought this was a good quote by somebody that you all know and respect, I'm sure, as a business person, that intuition is very powerful, more powerful than intellect. Yet we're always relying on our intellect, on our brain, on our thinking power. So are you guys game to do a little experiment? Yes? If anybody had their videos on, yes? Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to, again, get comfortable, and I'm going to guide you through 3 questions. And what I invite you to do is, and I know this is challenging, is to not think about the answers, but see what comes towards you as the question is posed. And the key with intuition is that we want the energy to be flowing as much as possible in your body. So we're going to do a short relaxation, and it's like opening up. It's almost like if you had a radio station, you wanted to tune in. You want that get right on the dial. You want to release the tension and tune in to the guidance that's always there. So again, I'd invite you to adopt a comfortable seated position. Both feet on the floor. You really want to be connected to the earth if possible. And then I'd invite you to close your eyes. And I'd like you to bring one challenge to mind. Something that you're facing right now. It might be a challenge with a spouse, a child, a friend. It might be a challenge at work with a colleague or a project. So anything that is challenging you right now. And just bring that particular situation to mind. And just be with it. Just identify. And now I'd ask you just to take a couple relaxing breaths. Just allow your muscles to get soft. Just notice the fluidity of your breath. And when you think your muscles have relaxed and released, just invite them to let go even further, even more, even deeper. Good. I'm going to ask you the first question. What opportunity is this challenge presenting you with? What opportunity is this challenge presenting you with? It's an opportunity to learn or grow, to create, to let go, to turn within. What opportunity is this challenge presenting you with? Good, and then just take a deep breath. The second question is, how is this challenge inviting you to show up? It's inviting you to show up boldly, courageously, patiently, compassionately. Good, and then take another deep breath. And what next step is this challenge inviting you to take? Right now, next step in this day, an immediate next step. Maybe it's to reach out, maybe it's to get quiet, it's to write or to listen. Good, and just take another few conscious breaths, coming slowly back. And if anybody would like to share in the chat anything that came up, how your experience was, or any answers or insights you may have gotten. I think Leslie may have already shared to serve, to take time for me. That's what you heard back. That's awesome. So this is an approach that I learned through Alan Seal, who's a consultant. He does a lot of global work with companies like IKEA. And it's a great technique for just, you know, when you're stuck, just to sit and ask these questions of yourself. Okay, so an opportunity for better prioritization, taking charge, ask for help. Nice. Be courageous in my decision to make a big change. Wow, Lori, that's a great, great guidance. To grow and accept. Nice. It was nice thinking about the challenge I'm working through. It will be nice to use the video on YouTube. Feels a little bit like NLP, yes, for sure. Good, so thank you guys. And you know, it's, okay, Joe shared overcome mental obstacles, take action, nice. So it's a little difficult when I'm teaching it because I wanted to share some examples with you. So when you do it on your own, you'll really just allow whatever's there to bubble up. To take imperfect action, I love that, Darina, awesome. Good, so I'm gonna keep going. Feel free to keep sharing. So let's take a look at this notion of spiritual intelligence. And I started out when I was writing this presentation about, well, it's understanding that. And right away, my intuition said, no, it's not about understanding. It's about that knowing. And knowing, the first thing for me with spiritual intelligence is that we are all connected. We are all sharing the same earth. We are all sharing the same air. And we are all connected through energy. And this really leads me to this whole notion of collaboration, which is such an important part of your coaching. And we're going to come back to this in a few minutes. And I'm proposing a shift in terms of how we're looking at collaboration. And I'm actually even challenging myself. So it's going to be fun to share that with you. Second part I wanted to share with, in terms of spiritual intelligence, is this notion that we all have a universal purpose. And for me, that's really increasing our level of consciousness. And I believe that we are all here to help with the raising of consciousness of humanity. That's how important each of us, or each role that we have, is contributing to that. And just an easy way of looking at, you know, levels of consciousness can seem very esoteric, difficult to define. But if you think about a shift from ego to soul, and when you're in ego mode, it's about ambition, and there's nothing wrong with that. And often this shift happens as we get older, as we go through challenges in life. We shift from, I want to be the best, I want to succeed, I want to climb the ladder. That's sometimes we talk about 40 years of ambition, and then we shift to 40 years of contribution. When we've done our achieving, and now it's about giving. So if you think about shifting soul from ego to soul, and the values that go along with that, contributing, serving, wisdom, collaboration, compassion, those are all things that values that are associated with those higher levels of consciousness. And then I believe that everybody has an individual purpose, a unique difference that you are here in the world to make. And it's all about this notion of serving, of contributing, of giving back. And that's the way, as humans, that's the way we find fulfillment. We think it's from money and titles and, you know, challenges at work, but those are always short-lived. We get a certain level of fulfillment, and it's like, okay, I want my next challenge. So when we tap into our purpose and we start contributing in that way, that's when we really feel fulfilled, like we're contributing and making a meaningful difference in the world. And then I believe an important part of spiritual intelligence is just tuning into the guidance that's always there for us. And that can look like intuition. It can look like synchronicities, coincidences, two people telling you to read the same book, you know, meeting somebody that you haven't seen in years and they talk about a course that you've been thinking of taking. All these things. And I believe that there's this symphony that's being orchestrated, and we only see one little instrument, or you know, feel like we're one little part of the symphony. But I believe that we're all being guided towards living our purpose. And when we feel that passion, we feel momentum and energy, we know that we're on that path. So this is not a complete definition. I just wanted to give you some key elements. And so let's go back to that connecting and contribution or collaborating. So when I say we're all connected energetically, when you think about you're in a room and somebody comes in, if they are super angry or super sad, you're probably going to feel it, right? And that's what I mean when we're talking about connected energetically. We're sharing this earth and we're all bringing our energy to it. And if we can uplift, if we can raise up our vibration, then it helps the whole world. And I think that we also, now we're so much more aware of the environmental impact, that we're all sharing the same water, we're all sharing the same air. And COVID even helped us really realize that every action that we take affects our neighbors, affects our cities, affects everyone. So how do we make this connection between we're all connected and collaboration and business? Because we're in the end, we're coaching businesses, right? We're helping. So there's this notion that I've been playing with for a while now is this shift from competitive advantage to collaborative advantage. And when you think, I used to do some consulting for strategic planning. And, everybody wanted that competitive advantage. You wanted to steal market share. You wanted to crush the competition or kill the competition. And if you think about that, we're all connected, then if anybody's getting crushed and killed, it's affecting the whole. And really, it's about a shift in mindset from a limited, this is our, the market share, the share of wallet, whatever, and there's a limited thing and we have to go fight for it, to there's abundance in the universe. There's abundance everywhere, and markets can expand and new products, and we can all expand and grow and be profitable together. We don't have to be focusing on outdoing the competition. What we want to do is focus on addressing the consumer needs. So serving all stakeholders really gets at this collaborative advantage, and this is a fundamental premise of conscious capitalism. You guys probably know about that, but in terms of, who are the stakeholders? They're obviously the customers. They're the employees. We want to be uplifting and supporting them. Suppliers is a great area where I think we used to take the approach of, squeezing these suppliers, getting the best price, trying to get good, more and more from them every year. And instead, this approach is, how can we support our suppliers? How can we ensure that they are running a profitable business so that they keep innovating and they keep supporting us? And again, this nice, wonderful, we contribute, they contribute. And it builds this positive momentum. Shifting from zero-sum game to the notion of the high tide lifts all boats. Yes, nice, Joe. Good. So obviously, as well, businesses are contributing to the community that they're living in. And in terms of the environment, it's no longer just respecting environmental norms. It's like, what is our company doing? And what are we all doing to help really make a positive impact on the environmental issues that are so important right now? So when I looked at this competitive advantage to collaborative advantage, I wanted to look at, okay, what does that mean as a leader? Because I'm a leadership coach, I actually started questioning when you really become a collaborator, maybe that's even better than being a leader. So here are the shifts that I've been playing with. So shifting from me, yes, I'm in charge, I'm the leader, to we. It's all about working together. And it's not about feeling powerful and having the title, it's about empowering others so that everybody in the company is feeling empowered and like they're contributors, important part of the company. And the other thing, this isn't a shift, but it's like not just using your rational mind, but bringing the intuitive mind, not only market guidance, but that inner guidance, and not only doing, but being. How often do we sit in the middle of our day and say, if I take a few minutes, if I take 5 minutes right now and just be, what ideas might come, what solutions might come that I hadn't considered in the past. And another interesting shift is from feeling like as a leader, you want to know all the answers and be the shining star and shining light, to what are the powerful questions that you can ask to bring out creativity and inspiration? How open can you be to ideas coming from everywhere in the organization? And instead of motivating, shifting to uplifting and inspiring others on your teams. And then finally, emotional outbursts to emotional mastery. So I talked about during that check-in is to really understand and be in touch with your emotions and the impact that they have not only on yourself, but on your teams. And then judgment and resistance to more acceptance, curiosity. So asking questions like not what caused this shift in the market, but what can we learn from this shift in the market? What's happening? Like just being curious, not judging that it's a negative thing. So as I say, when I was looking at these shifts, I even started to question whether leadership is a good term anymore. Maybe it should just be Chief Collaborating Officer. Food for thought. And then finally, there's pursuit of profits to pursuit of purpose. And The Firms of Endearment is a book that's was written a few years ago. And it's based on the notion that if you are pursuing purpose and you're using the kind of conscious capitalist approach, you actually get better long-term returns than other companies that are pursuing profits. And they studied purposeful companies versus the good to great companies. And they found in the long run that the people pursuing purpose actually outperformed the others. Good. So let's talk a little bit more about energy and this energy that we all share. So Einstein, I think it was Einstein that said everything is energy. It's all encompassing, it's everywhere. Well, my thing is energy is everything. And if you're not tuned into your energy, then you're not tuned into your power. I'm just looking at the chat. Quick question. Should we be careful using intuition for decision-making as we are influenced by the bias and bounded rationality? Should we be careful using intuition as we are influenced by bias? I don't think that our intuition isn't influenced by bias and bounded rationality. The intuition goes beyond that. I'm not sure if I understood your question right, but.
Perhaps, Joe, do you want to ask the question? Maybe you want to call it out. It's a great question. Love it.
I mean, I didn't want to interrupt the
that's all right.
presentation, but I think the question I have, especially as we're using the sensing and our intuition, I think if we try that, we sometimes may not be able to, especially if it's a quick decision, we may not be able to see the possible entire picture for us to make that decision. And it also means that if we're making a quick decision, we have tendencies to be vulnerable to our own biases. Because we are sensing something, it may mean we're sensing it from a perspective that may or may not be the full picture. So as we want to, and I think it actually does fold in a little bit where you're talking about the spiritual intelligence, in which you're now more in tune with what you feel, as opposed to simply what you're in tune with, the immediate quick reaction of what of your bias. So it's not necessarily saying that it's a problem to it's a problem to always sense intuition. It just has to be measured within your ability to have that spiritual intelligence. Just a thought. I mean, sometimes when it's not fully developed, you end up being subject and being very vulnerable to those biases and reacting to what you just know right away versus knowing the entire picture that may exist.
Yeah. So I guess I would maybe argue the opposite, that when we tune into spiritual intelligence and intuition and guidance, it goes beyond our personal self. It goes beyond our limited knowledge. And that's the beauty of it, is it's like there's these Akashic records that are existing. And that's where we get ideas that we would have never thought of, like, where did that come from? That's so amazing. So the invitation really, and it takes some time to be able to trust that intuition, because if I think what you're saying is that we have these, you know, rational biases, whatever, and that means that the thinking mind is at play when we're tapping into those biases, and our personal self is at play versus tuning into universal intelligence, if you will. So I'll let you think about that, and maybe we can come back to it at the end. Thanks for the question, though. Good. Okay, so let's go back to energy. So I wanted to introduce this notion of our energy ecosystems. So we have a personal energy ecosystem. And if you think about, I use this visual because energy systems are always flowing, right? Energy is flowing through our body. The more we, you know, drink, the more we take care of our body, the more it can flow. So if you think of rocks and things that interrupt the flow in our body, what interrupts that flow are emotions that we're hanging on to. It's tension. If we're stuck in resentment, frustration, anger, anytime we tense up, it's like we're limiting that flow within our personal ecosystem. So the invitation is to really notice as we go through our day, what's happening with our level of energy. Right now, do you feel energy? Like if you put your attention on the palms of your hands right now, just focused there, do you feel some energy? Our hands and feet have a lot of energy receptors, so you might feel a little bit. And the more in tune we can be with our inner energy, the more we can ensure that we're allowing, again, it's almost like we're a channel when I was talking about tuning into the guidance. If we've got blockages, we're limiting that ability to tune in. So we want to feel like we're allowing the energy to flow. And what does that look like? Cleaning up our personal ecosystem. So the objective is to kind of be calm, to be wise, that intuitive collaborator. So we want to work on our emotional intelligence, because that's where if we have those inner blockages based on resentment, like I said, anger, frustration, all those things, if we're not dealing with our emotions, experiencing them as they come up, if we're holding on or pushing them away is basically pushing them down. They stay within. So it's really important to understand. Somebody used the word embodiment before. It's important to feel the emotion as they come up. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, but if you can feel and release, it's the best approach. And then again, be in touch with this energy flow, and throughout your day, what uplifts you? What brings your energy to a different level? And I'd ask you to maybe share in the chat right now. What's something in your day that you know uplifts your energy? It can be going for a run. It could be, playing with your dog, or it could be getting that presentation finished. Music, yoga, nice. Working out, good. Nature, yeah. Awesome. So the important thing with this energy flow, as I said, is to be checking in with yourself during the day in chiropractor, yeah. To make sure that you're not letting your energy get so low that you're exhausted and really not able to tune in at all. So if you can think about doing a breathing exercise, if you can think of doing something, some sort of movement to keep your energy up throughout the whole day, it will be very helpful in terms of tuning into this guidance. And when we do start tuning in and we start anything that's a higher vibration, it's like joy, love, peace, compassion. Those are all high vibration emotions versus the stress, the fear, the anxiety that on the lower scale. So if we can stay more in those higher vibrations, that's where we're going to feel more expansive, get more flow, synchronicity, the creativity is going to flow. You'll feel more on purpose, get more guidance towards your purpose. Awesome. So when we think of ecosystems, now I've talked about your personal one. But we said that we're all connected. So let's look at other echo energy systems. So we've got our personal, and obviously our personal, the way we show up, the energy, the compassion, the kindness, it affects those people around us, particularly our family, our workmates, our teams, our partners. And then the ecosystems continue into our community, cities, our planet. And this graphic doesn't do it justice that, you know, our personal side, it goes across everything. So the invitation again is to see how I am showing up is not only affecting me. If I'm in a crummy mood, if I'm depressed, if I'm down, if I'm tired, it's contributing to your personal energy ecosystem, your families, your workplace, your community, and so on, because we're all sharing this energy. So the invitation is to really, you know, want to be conscious of showing up at your best, because we're all connected and we're all contributing to each other's energy systems. And again, the more we can collaborate, the more we can find flow, health, and peace as a society, humanity. Good. So I just wanted to talk about a couple spiritual practices that can help increase your energy. Is that of interest? Awesome. Daily meditation, of course. I have to talk about that because it's really what got me on this path. And I have to say that sometimes I will meditate and I will have to, it's not my objective. It's just to you know, sit and be quiet, but I'll have to get a pen and paper because I get what are called downloads of ideas. And it can be anything from marketing ideas to ideas of new products. I also use meditation sometimes when I remember my daughter had lost her bus pass, and I just sat quietly and I sensed where it was. I said, it's in your bedroom. It fell behind the bed. And she's like, oh no, I looked there. And I said, go look again. And sure enough, it had fallen in a crack. So daily meditation, getting quiet, allows us to tune into the guidance that's always there. But we're usually too busy. We're not paying attention to it. So there are so many good guided meditations online now, or you can just sit with the practice of paying attention to your breath, paying attention to body sensations, the whole mindfulness approach. But bringing some sort of quiet time into your day is so, so important. Kundalini yoga. So I'm a certified hatha yoga teacher, but I started Kundalini yoga about a year ago, I guess, yeah, the beginning of the pandemic. And I've been doing it every day, almost ever since. It's a really cool practice about moving the energy up the different chakras in the body. And I am following somebody on YouTube that's Refeel Yoga. If anybody's interested, it's a wonderful practice. So mindfulness, observe the chatter, the resistance, the judgment, observe the emotions that come up. The more you can be in tune with what's going on in your body, your brain, your heart, the more you can choose wisely how you want to move forward. When we're on autopilot, we lose that capacity. And then relax, feel, and release the emotions. So whenever you do have a strong emotion, as I said, it's important to feel it in your body, feel where it is. It's your shoulders, your gut. You know, sometimes it's in our heart, wherever it might be, just to feel it and then relax your body. This is a serious spiritual practice. It sounds funny, but just relaxing the body, releasing the emotion and allowing that flow to come. We enjoy daily meditation. Nice. Headspace. Yes, that's awesome. So many good ones out there now. Good. And I have a gift for you guys. If you would like, I've written what I call 12 spiritual practices to live and lead by. So I'm going to go ahead and share that link right now. If anybody wants to get that, we'd be happy to share it. So I'm just going to outline, again, it's kind of a summary, a recap of some of the shifts when we're leveraging this notion of spiritual intelligence. And then I'd love to take some questions, have some discussion with you guys. So head to heart. So the head is more our ego, the rational side. It's got a limited capacity, and our heart has got a much larger electromagnetic resonance. It takes in more. And so it's important to allow yourself the time to really tune into the messages of the intuition, the heart. So from leading to collaborating, and what that looks like in your everyday life as a parent, as a coach, as a friend. Letting go of the idea of competing, letting go of the notion of having answers, leaning into the questions. And this shift of succeeding and ambition to how am I contributing, how am I adding value? And when you're adding value and you're contributing that, again, it's uplifting in terms of your energy. So from low energy to high vibrations. So how can you look at your energetic body from, a lot of people talked about, the physical body, the yoga, the running, that's awesome. But how inspired you are in the day. When you get a phone call, if somebody phoned you and just told you amazing news, how that changes your energy. So if you can tune into what's elevating your energy, and shift from struggling to experiencing more flow. So when you get that energy flowing in your body, it starts to flow in your life. As I mentioned, the synchronicities, the coincidences, the guidance that's always there. An outer focus to more inner peace, energy, and joy. So coming back to my basic premise, sensing trumps thinking. That is all for my formal presentation. I'd love to have some chats, be challenged, whatever feels good.
So thank you, Jackie. That was really, really interesting. But yeah, what do folks think? What questions, what insights, what observations have folks got? What questions have we got?
And if nobody has a question right off, I'd also invite you to share in the chat just one insight, one nugget that you're taking away today that you don't want to forget. And by sharing that, it's going to help everybody kind of get reminded of things that maybe have been important. What have you found to help people cross the bridge from traditional to conscious? One of the tools that I use is, I use mindfulness, obviously, in all my coaching and workshops, but also I use the Barrett values model. And basically it's mapping values on levels of consciousness. So it's a really interesting way of making consciousness more concrete. And at each of the different levels, there are associated values, and a little bit like I talked about when we're going from the 40 years of ambition to 40 years of contribution, there's different levels that we go through as we evolve our level of consciousness. So that's a helpful tool, the Barrett values model. I love how spirituality can contribute to successful business. Yes, I had never before connected like this. Nice, good. Sean, since starting Kundalini Yoga, have you experienced awakening levels of change? I've definitely experienced more flow of energy in my body. Remarkably, like one of my teachers is Michael Singer, who's written a couple amazing books, The Surrender Experiment and The Untethered Soul. And Michael talks about a serious flow of energy, up the spine, out the third eye. And he said he wakes up in the morning, it's like this continual flow. And so that's my new end game. That's where I'm headed. And I'm starting to feel more and more the energy circulating. So I would say yes. And it's not a drastic overnight thing. It's a slow awakening. It's a slow, yeah. And I feel more and more like things that I'm thinking about or intentions that I have, the solution comes. I'm looking about that. The course is right in front of me. It's like offered then. Yeah. So it's more flow, sure. The shifts that you listed are very enticing. Thinking about how it would attract potential clients. Yeah. Maybe do the exercise of those 3 questions with that notion of how can I use this? What opportunity can this bring with potential clients? Would you mind typing in the chat the name of the technique you just mentioned? Which technique? Was that the Barrett values model? Sorry, Lack, I don't, yeah, okay, the Barrett, yeah. And they have a free personal values assessment. Yeah, so they have a free personal values assessment that you can use and actually get a little printout mapping your values on these 7 levels of consciousness. So it's a really cool tool. And Richard Barrett is one of those people that is like at the top level in terms of, consciousness. He used to be, I think it was a World Bank he worked for, and, very ambitious, whatever. And now he's developed this model and he's doing such amazing work across the world. And he's giving this personal value assessment away. And that's really when you get to that level of, it's not about money or profits, it's about contributing to the greater good. And he's a very inspiring leader in that sense, a very innovative approach.
Jackie, I don't have a question, but just want to shout out an appreciation for your mention of making that shift from the first 40 years to the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. That is so significant in my life right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that really resonated with me. So I'm appreciating that. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things my purpose coach told me when I was getting trained is that it's not as productive to help somebody under the age of 40 find their purpose because they haven't lived enough experiences. They haven't, gone through enough challenges to really know enough about themselves to align with their purpose.
That's just so insightful.
Yeah. And one of the exceptions that I always think is very interesting is, he said, if somebody at a young age has gone through a very difficult experience, a death of a family member, disease, a car accident, anything like that, it actually accelerates our spiritual growth and moves people up in terms of the level of consciousness exponentially. And I find it interesting because I find right now the whole world, I think the young people are at a different level of consciousness than, let's say, we were 30 years ago. So I think it's fascinating that the whole notion that we're working together to raise the level of consciousness, it's happening, but there is still merit to the more challenges we go through, the more we can align with what we're meant to do and share with the world. And I do have a purpose course that I offer. If anybody's interested in finding more, just you can email me or go to my website and connect with me. Awesome. So I didn't see that many insights in the chat. If anybody else wants to share, thank you, Laurie, for that. It's nice to hear that it resonated. If anybody else has things that they
Yeah,
want to share.
I've got a question. So yeah, it feels a bit quite Junglian in sort of nature and that shadow work, and then passing and changing from one stage to another. The 40 thing, yeah, definitely resonates with me as well. But yeah, my questions around, it's similar to the question that was answered earlier, and trusting intuition. And what you describe is that personal journey that we're all going on, and the journey of life, and that change from one to the other. But I think that the trusting in the intuition, the question came up for earlier, I think reminds me a bit of like contamination of the adult ego state from the child ego state in TA, and sort of really whether you're acting, if you're acting on intuition and you're not clean in yourself and how you are, then your intuition is going to be like it's not going to be a true representation. But the stuff you talk about is all of this personal work that you need to do on yourself so you can trust your intuition. And I'm interested by your journey and your journey through that, and when that happens for you, and then also kind of how that works when you're working with clients. Are you aware of that tipping point almost of, are you working with people to help with their intuition, or kind of, yeah, it's back to that question that we heard during the talk, which is, can you really trust your intuition? Mm-hmm. Or is it something, and I think it links into the journey of life a little bit.
Yes. So one of the things that that I do with clients is when I help them find their purpose, is tapping into this intuitive side. And it's interesting, there's criteria that we can use to say, okay, is that intuitive? One of the criteria is, if it's an intuitive message, it's usually short and very direct. So it won't say, Jackie, maybe you should take a course on, relationships. It would say relationship course. It's like there's no fear when it's an intuitive message. There's no fear, there's no maybes, there's no whatever. It's very direct and blunt. It can also be in words or metaphors that you wouldn't normally, like some people's purpose statements from their intuitive mind come out as, I shepherd people from one land to the other, and you're going, where did that come from? Shepherding people, so those are some of the things. Obviously, a lot of times it's the first answer that comes into your head, and then you start questioning it, and that's the rational mind kicking in. So what I do is I help people. The other thing that really interferes with the intuitive responses is fear. So if I'm helping somebody find their purpose and they have fear that, if I find my purpose, I won't make as much money, or if I find my purpose, maybe I won't be good at it. So those fears can block the information coming. So we will, explore those fears and learn from them, not push them away, not judge them, just, okay, they're there. Let's see what's behind them. Let's see how we can work with them. So I guess my answer to the question, your intuition is never wrong. It's never limited. It's, if your egoic mind is influencing or getting in the way, that's when those personal biases, that's when the fears come through. But the intuitive mind is, or the intuitive messages are pure and at a whole different level.
Awesome, thank you. And we're just running out of time a little bit now, and I'll say thank you to Jackie. But before we go, any further questions, thoughts, comments from anyone else before we close CAJ? No, awesome. Thank you, Jackie, for your talk. It was fascinating, and sensing Trump's thinking and those questions and that stuff. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I just want to remind everyone, we've got our next Lean Coffee on Monday, the 12th of July. I would love you to join us. And then beyond that, we got Chris Stone, Humans Are Resources, Change My Mind, and a little bit of a link into this talk. So awesome. We hope to see you on either the 12th of July or the 26th of July. Thank you for everyone contributing and listening and working with Jackie tonight. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just shared the link again if you want my 12 spiritual principles to live and lead by. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.